for standing by. Welcome to today's conference call. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. Later, there will be an opportunity for questions and comments. Instructions will be given at that time. As a reminder, this conference call is being recorded. I would now like to turn the conference call over to your host for today, Kelly Swanson. Kelly, please go ahead.
Okay, thanks, operator. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We're going to get started immediately, and joining me and for your working pleasure are the two best CEOs in boxing, joined by Leonard Ellerbe, CEO of Mayweather Promotions, and Richard Schaefer, CEO of Golden Boy Promotions. And I'm now going to turn the phone over to Richard for opening remarks. Richard?
Great. Thank you very much, Kelly. Amazing, this call as well. They just told us that we have almost 100 people on this call. So it is a big announcement, and I'm happy that you guys are all part of it. But first of all, I want to apologize to all media members if I did not return calls in the past few days. I really want to treat people fair and realize in this day and age, everyone wants to break a story, wants to be the first one on Twitter to tweet out breaking news. And I feel bad that I cannot always give everyone the scoop. But today, I want to give everyone the scoop at the same time because I appreciate all of your hard work and commitment to the sport. So again, apologize for not having gotten back to you, but thank you for being on this call. We know that the one on September the 14th is big, is very big. We sold over 12,000 closed circuit seats already in Las Vegas, unheard of because these seats usually sell last minute during fight week in the last few days. Right now, we have only 6,000 left, but we are working on adding extra seats. Together with the 16,500 sold tickets at the MGM Grand Garden, we have almost 30,000 people already, which will be in Las Vegas for this fight. I'm trying to get an additional 20,000 closed circuit seats because I believe that the demand is absolutely well over 50,000 people which would want to be there. The gate will be setting a new record, and we already announced that, but I can be a little bit more precise now as it relates to the number. It's going to be over $19.5 million, shattering the record of Floyd versus the Oscar fight, not just breaking it, but yes, shattering it. Media requests are unheard of. We are setting new sponsor records. We have already seven confirmed sponsors. We're setting new foreign sales records, approximately 40% ahead of De La Hoya versus Floyd. We're setting new closed circuit records as per Joe Gallardi from J&J, and distributor activations are like never before. The pay-per-view industry has embraced this fight like no other event before, and I'm not just saying fight, I'm saying event. And yet, the big one got even bigger. We all know that Floyd is the top pound-for-pound fighter in the sport. We all know that he is the highest paid athlete in any sport, and we all know that he is the ultimate showman and entertainer. His fights are the Super Bowl of boxing, and we know as well that his nickname is Money. Well, Floyd is putting his money where his mouth is, creating the single biggest pay-per-view event of all time by adding, after Mayweather versus Canelo, the next most anticipated fight in the sport of boxing on September 14 pay-per-view. Yes, it's done. Yes, Danny Swift Garcia versus Lucas the Machine Matthysse will happen. And yes, it will happen on September 14th as part of the one. The one just got another one. I really want to thank Showtime, Steven Espinoza. I have never seen a network with that kind of commitment to boxing. It's absolutely unheard of. I want to thank Al Heyman. Lots of media people thought, Al, that you would never pull the trigger, but you did. You did make this fight. Thank you, Al. And thank you to Floyd Mayweather for your commitment to the sport as a fighter and now as a promoter. And most importantly, thank you to both fighters for agreeing to this fight. These are true modern-day gladiators. All these people who wrote that Danny was scared of Lucas, well, you just have a lot of egg on your face. Danny Garcia is never scared of anyone. He wanted that fight more so than any other fight. I'm really pleased that this is happening. I know, having been on the road for the past 3 weeks, from first the Broner fight and then the 10 cities and just coming back from England, I used to be asked always, is Mayweather going to fight Canelo? Are you going to be able to do this fight? And once we announced that fight, I was asked everywhere I went, are you going to be able to pull it off, Matthysse and Garcia, or Garcia and Matthysse? And yes, we did. And it's a pleasure now for me to introduce to you a man who has been very instrumental to help make this happen, to help getting this fight on September the 14th, and that is the CEO of Mayweather Promotions, Leonard Ellerby.
Thank you, Richard, and I'd like to thank everyone for joining us on the call. As Richard stated, Floyd made it very clear to us that he wanted to give the fans the biggest and the best fights on his card possible. And with this fight being made, Garcia versus Matthysse, this is going to be a tremendous card. This fight is a main event alone, and it has Fight of the Year written all over it. It's just another example of how Floyd has put the sport on his back by he's trying to bring awareness to the sport with this fight getting the worldwide platform it truly deserves. And in my eyes, this is just another step in the right direction of making boxing a mainstream sport. As Richard just stated, this is a tremendous fight. You have Lucas Matthysse, who he's running everybody out the ring. Nobody wants to fight him, but Danny Garcia stepped up and said, I want to be the one to beat this guy. Matthysse has tremendous punching power, but we must not forget, Danny Garcia can punch with either hand. So this is a fight that the fans, will get to see, and they will leave away from watching this whole card, and they just will want to come back and see the next event we put on. So I'd like to thank everybody for joining us on this call, and I'll turn it back over to Richard.
Thank you very much, Leonard. Yes, this is indeed a big fight, and it deserves its own press tour. We will announce in the coming days a 3-city press tour, which will include New York, Puerto Rico, and Los Angeles. And so I'm really looking forward to that. And on a personal note, I just want to reiterate again my deepest and sincere thank yous to Floyd and to Showtime. We did not have to do this. We did not have to add this fight on September the 14th. The tickets are sold out. Records are being broken. And yet we added this fight to this amazing night of boxing. This is without any question a thank you. And you can write that in capital letters, a thank you to the fight fans, an attempt to bring new fans to the sport and show the world how great our sport of boxing is. Loaded pay-per-view cards is a hallmark of Golden Boy and Mayweather Promotions. We firmly believe that consumers deserve these kind of cards. The butterbean days are over. This, among many other things, sets us apart from our competition. Thank you all for being on the call. We are going to open it up now for questions if you have any questions.
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question or have a comment, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. This will place your question in the order it was received. Once again, if you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad now. And our first question comes from Lem Satterfield with The Ring.
Hey, Richard. How hard was it to keep this quiet, through your whole staff and everybody?
It was very difficult, and I really felt bad because you and Dan and Steve and many of the media guys kept calling me and asking me, and I've been working diligently behind closed doors to try to keep it quiet because, to get these kind of fights done is not so easy, and I think keeping it quiet and out of the media was really the key. So, but you sure were on my ass, and so were the others. So I'm glad in the end it worked out, and the fight fans are going to get a very special treat.
What about the press tour? Is that going to happen later this month, I'm assuming, because you don't want to go over into...
Yes, we are going to be announcing it probably sometime next week. We might be announcing in the following week as well the rest of the card. And so we are basically going to have pretty much events and communications planned from now on until fight night. So there's going to be a constant stream of updates and calls and press announcements and so on coming out, because as I said, the calls we're getting about this fight is just absolutely unheard of.
But the tour wouldn't go into next month, right? It would be more this month to allow the fighters to train.
Well, we might do it like in the first week of August and so on, but we're currently working on all of this. So, again, as soon as we have it ready, we will announce it.
I guess my last question for now is, how difficult was it to make this fight? And I don't know how much detail you can go into, but
well, I tell you, from a fighter point of view, obviously Garcia-Matthysse wanted the fight, and Danny Garcia wanted the fight. So you really didn't have much of a debate or much issues with the fighters. But this is by far, and by very, very, very far, the most expensive fight ever put as the second fight on a pay-per-view. And so that took a lot of maneuvering and a lot of negotiations and a lot of other things, a lot of money to get it done, and that really was the main reason why it took so long, because I felt, and I agree with Leonard, what Leonard said, this is one of the most anticipated fights in the sport. These are two great fighters, and as Leonard said, Fight of the Year written all over it. My first choice all along was to try to find a way to put it on September the 14th. It would have been much easier to put it on a separate date, and for us as a promoter would have been more lucrative as well. But this is really for the fans to put that on there, because I believe with the kind of exposure this fight is getting worldwide, record numbers everywhere, that Danny Garcia and Garcia-Matthysse deserve the kind of attention they will get by being on this card. So that was my goal, and I'm happy we were able to deliver.
Thanks a lot. I'll let everybody else get on the call. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Kevin Io with Yahoo Sports.
Hi, I have a couple questions for Richard and Leonard. Leonard, first of all, you were talking about Floyd's commitment. Is the money that Richard talked about, is that tangibly coming out of Floyd's end? If this fight wasn't on the card, would Floyd be making that extra money?
Well, I don't want to get into the details, the financial details of it, but I'll just say that Floyd made a commitment to make this fight happen, and he wanted to get it done because he wanted the fans to be able to come away from watching this whole event and say, wow, we got our money's worth and some.
What, did his thinking on this change over time? I mean, obviously there was a fairly good undercard in May, but this hasn't always been the case where we've had these kind of fights on an undercard. Did his thinking evolve, or did somebody bring this to him and he agree with it?
Well, these are the kind of discussions that Richard, myself, and Al have had over a period of time. These are the things that happen when you got Golden Boy and Mayweather working together. Bringing you these fantastic events, and things like this you'll never ever see done again. We're attempting to try to take boxing to a whole nother level, and Floyd's ultimate goal is to make boxing a mainstream sport.
And then two other questions, and this one, Leonard, either you or Richard could answer, but does this in any way give the winner the inside track of potentially fighting Floyd if Floyd were to win?
Our focus is just on September 14th. There are a number of guys, everyone in the sport wants to fight Floyd, around those weight classes who, from 40 to 54, there's a whole number of guys that, want the opportunity at the Mayweather sweepstakes. But, both guys are tremendous fighters, and And come September 14th, I can't wait as a fight fan myself to see this fight.
Thanks,
Well, the thing, Kevin, is Floyd keeps beating everybody, and the list still keeps getting longer. It just doesn't get shorter. I agree with Leonard. They all line up, and everybody wants to fight Floyd. But as it relates to your first question about the money, it would have been much easier if we would have just gone to Floyd and say, hey, Floyd, let's put this fight on, and you've got to pay for it. But it really was a partnership between Mayweather Promotions and Golden Boy Promotions to find ways to make this fight happen as part of the card. And yes, there were of course Floyd had to approve it, and because it's he's the overall captain of the ship, so he had to approve it. But it was up to us to try to find as well additional revenue sources, being it from sponsors, being it from foreign television sales and so on, so that some of the costs associated with this fight could be carried by other sources, by other revenue sources, additional revenue sources. And finally, I do believe, as big as the one was, this is one of those situations where 1 + 1 = 3. So I really think in the end it's going to work out for Floyd as well.
And then lastly, Richard, if you put this fight on September 7th, Atlantic City or anywhere, what kind of gate do you think Garcia-Matthysse would have produced on its own as a main event?
Well, I could see that a fight like that would have, in a Barclays Center. If I look at the trend of recent fights, you'd probably be looking at $1 million gate.
Cool. Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Leonard. See you today.
Our next question comes from Dan Raphael with ESPN.
Hey, guys. Congratulations on getting this fight done. I know I'm looking forward to it. My question for you, Richard, is, or Leonard can field this one, either one of you guys. As big as this makes the card, even bigger than it was already, we already knew that Floyd versus Canelo was going to be one of the biggest, definitely the biggest fight of this year, one of the biggest fights of the last many years. I'm wondering, from your point of view, how much do you think it appreciably adds to the actual bottom line of pay-per-view buys? Is there anybody out there that was on the fence about buying Mayweather-Alvarez and now all of a sudden is pushed to buy the fight? Or are you just looking to do the giant audience you were going to do anyway and have them see another top-notch fight and be that much more invested in the sport?
Well, first of all, Dan, do you feel it?
What do you have against Butterbean, by the way?
Well, let me say that. This is a huge visibility event. I agree with you. And so I think as the leading promoters in the sport, we want to take on the responsibility as well to show new fans, because I think they're going to be, on this kind of event with Canelo and Mayweather, you are going to see non-boxing fans, people who have never seen a boxing match before, either buying the pay-per-view, watching it in the movie theaters or bars or closed circuit, or being at a friend's house. They're going to be watching boxing for the first time. And we believe there's going to be a lot of people watching boxing for the first time that night. And I think we want to take advantage of that. We want to be able to deliver them not just a great main course, but absolutely stellar appetizers. And this one here is, as Leonard said, and I agree with him, this is a fight of the year candidate going into the fight. And I want people, when the night is over, when they turn off their TV, I want them to say, wow, that was amazing. I can't wait to see the next boxing match. And I think that is what this fight adds.
Okay. Leonard, your point of view on that, does it add appreciably to the bottom line, or is it just get those new folks watching for the first time, or who are somebody that might order only a Mayweather fight, or only once in a while a pay-per-view, to get them more involved and active, where they may watch a regular fight on Showtime or HBO or ESPN or whatever? Leonard?
Hello? Say that again? You went out for a minute.
No, I was asking if you could also answer the similar question I asked to Richard about your thoughts. Does the fight itself add to the bottom line on pay-per-view buys? Because it's going to do a big number no matter what. Or is it like Richard suggested, where you have this monster audience, many of whom are not boxing fans on a regular basis or watch once in a blue moon, and you get to see another top-notch fight and maybe invest them more in the sport to watch other fights that are not just, a big Floyd Mayweather pay-per-view?
Well, as Richard and myself have been saying for quite some time, our objective is to bring more eyeballs to the sport. With putting these Mayweather events on, they're spectacular. I mean, the fights are getting bigger and bigger. Floyd has brought this awareness to the sport that hadn't been done in quite some time. And the whole objective is to bring these eyeballs to the sport where we continue to uplift the sport in a positive way. Make people talk about boxing the way they talk about other mainstream sports. And this is just another step in the right direction. And the best is yet to come. You're going to see more of this kind of stuff. And we're not done yet.
Not done yet, meaning not done yet with this undercard, or just in general?
Just in general.
And now, Richard, is there any money left over for other fights on the card? Since this is obviously a very expensive fight.
No, we will. I think we're working on the rest of the card, and as I said, we believe in a great menu of fights, and the other fights which will be on that card, which we're working on, will definitely not disappoint. I can assure you that.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. Appreciate it.
Our next question comes from Bob Bellin with USA Today.
Hey, Richard. Hey, Leonard. How you doing?
Hey, Bob.
Listen, Dan actually asked my question, but I did have one question for either of you guys. Did either camp, either the Garcia or the Matthysse camp, have any problem with being on the undercard of the Mayweather fight?
No, absolutely none. I think they realize as well the tremendous exposure the opportunity of the added exposure this brings on a global scale, and so they were very enthusiastic, to say the least, to be included in this big night of boxing.
Do you feel that the audience out of Argentina is going to be appreciable for this?
Oh, absolutely. We've seen it. We've seen a growing number of Argentinian flags in the audience. A lot of Argentinian fans have. I think a lot of new Argentinian fans have emerged in the sport of boxing. It's a little bit similar what we've seen in the Philippines with Manny Pacquiao when he arose to stardom, that suddenly you saw the Filipinos as a nation embracing boxing in a totally different way as they had embraced boxing before. And I think you can see the same now here with Argentina, where with Sergio Martinez, with Lucas Matthysse, with Marcos Maidana, you have not only one, but you have a group of fighters emerging as pound-for-pound stars.
All right, sir. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Good luck.
Thank you.
And our next question comes from Robert Morales with Los Angeles Daily News.
Hello, everybody. Richard and Leonard, how's everybody doing?
Great. And you, Robert?
Good. Congratulations to both you. Richard and or Leonard are both. Just a quick one. You guys have any concern that, and I mean this in a good way, really, that Matthysse Garcia could steal the spotlight that night, or do you welcome that?
Leonard, do you want to answer that?
Yes, we welcome that. If I hope they do steal it, because we'll put the icing on the cake in the main event. I mean, like I said, this is a fight. I mean, that as a fight fan myself, you have to be excited for. I mean, like I said, both guys are tremendous fighters, and so how can you not be excited about this? And I think that all the new viewers who will tune in, they will come away from watching this card, and they will be geeked.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I think, I can see myself at the post-fight press conference asking all you guys, so what do you think? Who was the one tonight? And So I'm sure that Danny and Lucas are going to try to do exactly that, what you just said, Robert. They're going to try to steal the night.
Gotcha. All right. Well, congratulations again. Looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from Gene Wong with the Washington Post.
Hey, Leonard. Hey, Richard. Congratulations on a great card. Hey, Richard, I know you had mentioned there was some speculation that the Garcia-Matthysse fight possibly coming to D.C. I was wondering if you could talk about maybe a little what the hang-ups were and if that was ever close to being a reality.
Well, we were looking at different alternatives as it relates to site, and in the end, that was one of the ideas we had with DC. But in the end, I really wanted to find a way to get this done for September the 14th, and I'm happy it worked out.
Thank you.
And our next question comes from Lance Pugmire with Los Angeles Times.
Richard, did you feel that, by adding this fight, you talked about the record-breaking live gate number, but did you feel like by adding this fight that you now will have a richer opportunity? Do you now expect to surpass the Mayweather-De La Hoya pay-per-view sales or not?
Well, I have to tell you, after we finished the press tour, after the final stop in Los Angeles, where you were there, Lance, we had 10,000 people in front of Staples Center, and all LA media said they've never seen anything like that. And it was pretty much the same at every stop we had in those 10 cities. After the tour, I have to tell you, to be honest, I felt very comfortable to predict that that fight between Mayweather and Canelo is going to match or beat the gross number, the revenues generated from pay-per-view, which was around $140 million. I felt very comfortable. With the addition of this fight, I feel even more so comfortable. Whether it's going to break the 2,500,000 per home buys record, 2,525,000, we'll see. I don't want to be that bold to predict that, but we certainly, I think, laid the foundation to have a serious shot at breaking that record as well. And usually the gate does well and the closed circuit does well. Sort of like it's a chain reaction, and that usually means that the pay-per-view will be doing extremely well as well. And so we'll just have to see, but I like our chances.
The extra money that you guys are referring to, was that money being mostly requested by Matthysse or by Garcia?
No, there was no money. There was no additional money. What I said is we needed to find, it is an extremely, extremely expensive fight, and we needed to come up with revenue sources such as from sponsors, additional sponsor monies, additional foreign television revenues, to find a way to somehow pay for that fight. And that was my task and Leonard's task, to come up with this money so that we could present that we could present it in a way that it made financial sense, and that's why it took a little while to get it done.
Okay, thank you so much.
Our next question comes from Francisco Guzman with BoxeoMundial.com.
How you doing, Richard? How you doing, Larry? My question was, did you guys run out of options trying to make this fight somewhere else before you made this fight on the Floyd Mayweather card?
When you make a fight like that, you never run out of options. This is the kind of fight you can put in any venue around the world, and people will come, because it really is, as I stated earlier, one of the most anticipated fights you could make in the sport. And that was not an East Coast fight. It was not a West Coast fight. It was a fight of tremendous interest among fight fans, whether they were in Texas or in New York or in Philly or in Vegas or in LA, doesn't really matter. Everybody, and I do mean everybody, was asking me about this fight. And when you have that kind of demand, you can really put it wherever you would want to.
adding it to the card. I mean, thinking about adding it to the card. Did you guys think that was it done because you felt that maybe it would make this fight between Floyd and Canelo a lot bigger, a lot greater for the pay-per-view numbers?
It was done because Floyd wanted to get it done, and Floyd wanted to have it on this card, and so that's why it was done. And as I said before, we were breaking records before that fight was announced. I mean, the tickets sold out at the MGM before any announcement of a Matthysse Garcia fight. The closed circuit tickets are almost sold out before any announcement, and so all of those deals were put in place prior to that, and so we really didn't need it to do that. We just did it because, as I said, we want to show the world how great boxing is, and we want to use this Mayweather-Canelo fight, which is the biggest fight which we have promoted, Golden Boy, since we started. And remember, we did promote the biggest one, which was De La Hoya and Mayweather. This is by far the single biggest fight we've ever promoted, and we wanted to take this to an even different level. And I think the addition of this fight accomplishes that.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Our next question comes from Ismail Abdul-Salam with Beats Boxing and Mayhem.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Hi.
The question that I had is that we know with Golden Boy, you guys have been really good as far as even upping the ante even further by giving knockout bonuses or KO of the night bonuses. Being that this fight probably won't go the distance, has there been any talk of possibly adding a stipulation like that to this fight?
No, I think we have made a commitment once a year.
Richard, hang on one sec. You can't hear. Whoever just called, can you mute your phone? I think it's because of your phone.
Okay.
Operator, just take him out of the queue and we'll go to the next question so Richard can answer. Thanks. Go ahead, Richard.
What was the question again?
Oh.
Now you interrupted my train of thought.
1 moment. Let me go ahead and mute that line. Go ahead, please.
Okay. The question was, being that this fight is such an explosive fight, and we know Golden Boy before has done KO of the night bonuses, would you be considering doing that again for this fight?
Well, no, exactly. So no, I don't think we're going to do that here, but we have once a year we do the Knockout Kings. We had Knockout Kings 1, which was a big success, and now we're going to have on July the 27th at the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Knockout Kings 2, with Berto against Soto Carras and Figueroa Arakawa and Keith Thurman against Diego Chavez. Hell of a card, and we are implementing the knockout bonuses there. So we sort of like want to see, how warmly this will be embraced on an ongoing basis, and then maybe we are going to start introducing that for all of our cards, but we are not there yet.
Our next question comes from Ben Thompson with Fight Hype.
Hey, Richard. Hey, Leonard. Hey, I just had a quick question. I was wondering if Danny and Lucas are going to be undergoing drug testing with USADA or VADA or one of the organizations for this fight.
Yes, they will.
Okay, cool. That's all I needed. Thanks, guys.
Ben. Thanks, Ben.
Yep.
Our next question comes from Jake Donovan with BoxingScene.com.
Yeah, most of my questions have already been answered. I just want to ask Richard, do you think you have the two most anticipated fights, the two biggest fights that can be made, both made are now on the same card. Do you think this forever changes the pay-per-view landscape?
What was the question? I understand the two biggest fights, but then you sort of like faded out.
I'm sorry. I'm saying, do you think putting the two biggest fights that can be made on the same card, do you think it forever changes the pay-per-view landscape of the way boxing does pay-per-views? Like this card becomes the new gold standard. That's just my point.
Well, I have no question that it will become the new gold standard, and I think it's going to be difficult to be duplicated. But I think if you have promoters who make a commitment to put these kind of fights on, then I think you make a huge step forward to really generate new fans and So I do, I think we've shown that. I think Mayweather Promotions and Golden Boy Promotions in the past years have shown that we have a commitment to deliver solid undercards. I think this one here is just taking it a step further.
That's further. Okay, great. That's all I had. Congratulations on making this fight, and now more than ever looking forward to 10-14.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
We're going to take 2 more questions, and before I do that, I just want to let media know that Matthysse does not have a Twitter account, so when you start seeing information disseminated about this fight, he does not have a Twitter. We're encouraging him to get one, but he does not. Thanks. Go ahead, operator.
Our next question comes from Francisco Salazar with BoxingScene.com.
Hi, Richard. Hi, Leonard. How are you guys?
Hey, Francisco.
Hey, just a couple of questions. I know that Leonard pointed out, and this question is for either one of you. I know Leonard pointed out that you want the this fight card to be for casual fight fans and to make more casual fight fans for boxing. Has there been talk about maybe doing how there was the Mayweather special on CBS? Has there been talk of anything putting on network TV on CBS and leading up to the fight? Whether it be Mayweather, Canelo, or Matthysse, Garcia?
Leonard, do you want to answer that? Do you want me to answer?
Well, we have a lot of plans that we're working on, and we'll be able to unveil what we're doing in the coming days and weeks.
Yes, exactly. The CBS platform, obviously, CBS and its chairman and CEO, Leslie Moon, was very much embraces the sport of boxing and is a big fight fan. And being a big fight fan, of course, having the 1-2 knockout punch here with Matthysse and Garcia and Mayweather and Canelo on the same night, you can imagine how enthusiastic and excited CBS is and Showtime to be part of this event. And so CBS will go out of its way to help promoting this great fight, these great fights and night of boxing. And currently, Stephen Espinosa, the president of sports for Showtime, is working with his CBS colleagues to come up with the right platforms, and those will be announced shortly.
Okay. Thank you, Richard. And now, just one more question. I know that there was, some other talk about what fights could fill out the 2 spots. Someone has mentioned even, Isher Smith and Carlos Molina. Is that one fight that could happen, or is that more like off the table?
Well, no. I think what we are going to do is we really worked very hard on getting this done, and then in the coming week or so, we are trying to finalize the other 2 televised fights, and I think it has served us well not to really speculate and start spreading rumors and things like that. We believe Mayweather Promotions and Golden Boy Promotions believe in getting stuff done and then announce it, and so we are still working on that, and we will announce in due course.
Okay, I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Richard, and thank you so much, Leonard. Have a great day.
You're welcome.
Our last question comes from William Trillo with PoundForPound.com.
Hey, thank you so much for taking my call, guys. Richard, congratulations. Great card.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. Could you clarify for me what titles are going to be on the line for the Matthysse fight and Garcia?
Well, Danny Garcia is the WBC and the WBA champion, and Lucas Matthysse is the WBC interim champion. So it will be for the WBC and WBA world titles.
Great. Both those titles are on the line. Perfect.
Correct.
I just wanted to comment, and maybe I could get a response from both of you. There's always been speculation or rumor, innuendo, that Al Heyman would never put his own fighters together in the ring, and this certainly shreds that. Can you speak to that? And when you were discussing this with Al, how compliant was he about putting his guys in the ring together?
Well, I don't know where these rumors of Al not wanting to put his fighters together started. I have a suspicion from where it started, and I'm sure you guys know what my suspicion is without having to tell you.
Sure.
The fact is, first and foremost, you have to realize Al Heyman is a huge boxing fan, and he believes, just like Floyd does and Leonard does and I do, the best fighting the best. So Al Heyman has never been a stumbling block of a certain fight not happening. He wants to see these fights happen, and I think if he pretty much, I would say 80-90% of the talent that matters is these days represented by Al Heyman. So he would be doing his clients a disservice if that means when you sign with Al Heyman, automatically you cannot be in other big fights, because he advises most of the big names. So again, that is like, I know where these things came from, but it's absolutely nothing could be further from the truth than Al Heyman trying to have fights which involve fighters where he advises both sides are not going to happen. I don't know, Leonard, if you want to add anything to that.
No, I think you covered everything. We know where those rumors and stuff come from. We won't even, address that.
Great. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I'm really looking forward to this. I'm sure everybody else is too.
Great. Thank you so much. We're really excited about these news today. This is a great time to be involved in the sport of boxing, as a fan, as a fighter, as a promoter, as a media guy, because this is exactly these kind of announcements, these kind of events which are taking the sport of boxing to a totally different level. And so thank you all. Leonard, do you have any closing comments?
No, just as you just touched on, like I said, we're just excited about giving you guys and the fans, a tremendous event come September the 14th, and we can't wait to put it on.
Great. Thank you all, and you'll hear from us more. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Also, media, there is a press release going out immediately following this call, so look out for that, okay? Sorry about that, late on that call. Bye. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you for joining us today. That concludes today's conference call.
The mod